my good friend Anthony Parfilko. So take it away, Anthony.
Hello, everyone. So this is about that one thing I did that everyone can't stop talking about. So I'm going to tell you guys, and then you won't be able to stop talking about it. Nice to meet y'all. Just a shout out. How is this program so far? Shout back either woo or eh. Okay, so a little bit about myself. I'm from East Brunswick. Thank you. I decided to go to Rutgers to become a mechanical engineer. So I'm a rising senior. That's 4 years ago. But I still feel like we can relate on some level. As I mentioned, I was part of the Honors Academy. So what is that thing I did? Well, it actually has... So the thing that I did wasn't actually recent. It was something that I did about... Imagine I'm sitting in your seats right now. From this point, a year later. Right? So this, you can imagine yourself doing the following things in 1 year. And it was, all right, a little bit more about myself. I love building things. That's like my one cool quirk. I'm a very hands-on type of guy. So here's a list of all the things that I've done. Like I've built camera stabilizers. I've built box forts, like huge ones before. I've built an umbrella out of the plastic trash bags that they have here at Rutgers. That was an awesome recycling project. We've built bridges before, like literal bridges out in the woods. I've built puppets before. I've built march generators. They're high voltage things, not like I'm just... And I've also built musical instruments before. I'm really, really, really excited about like building things. So what is that thing that I did during my freshman summer? So y'all are seniors, right?
Yes.
The juniors here, say yes.
Yes.
Yeah, you're all seniors. Okay, wonderful. What did I do during my freshman summer? It was a study abroad thing. It was a summer study abroad session. And, like, I need to explain every single word of that. So, summer is not technically correct because it's only the second half of summer. It's like July 15th onwards. So it's like only half the summer. So it's not really full summer. And I can't really call it study either because it didn't actually help towards me graduating. I got 0 credits from it. But, you know, like, it was worth something in my heart. You know? And there's an asterisk next to abroad because when you usually study abroad, you usually study in one country. I did not exactly one country. So, like, I can't really call it abroad. And I can't call it session because it was totally not indoor firearms. So, what I actually did, you might be wondering, well, what is it? What is this thing that he's typing up to? It's called the Mongol Rally! Now, if you are sitting in your seats going, what? That's right, I watched it. Anyway, so what it is, it's very simple. You drive. You sit down in your car. You start in England. You drive to Mongolia. That's it. Like that's it. It's a fun car trip. Come on, guys.
You go across the sea.
I'll get to that. Now, you might be looking at this map and thinking, this person is insane. Do I look insane? No. If you ask me how adventurous I was before I did this, I would say, oh man, if you wanted to have a fun night and I was around, I'd be totally down to play some chess. I'll play as black. Yeah! That's, you know what? Let's end it up. Let's end it up. I will play with black, but I'll play Queen's Indian Defense.
Oh my.
I know, right? That is the spirit. Woo! That's how adventurous I was. But then I decided, you know, let me try a thing. I'm going into college. I'm already like free to do whatever I want. Let me see how far I can push this. So who? Me, my older brother, and his coworker decided to rent, not even rent, sorry. We bought a car. Like, we went to England and we bought a car. It cost $400. Like, this was the response to the question, what if we take a motorized golf cart and we put doors on it? Would that work? Like, this is the kind of car you'd be embarrassed to drive around in the city, let alone in the steps of Mongolia. And that was the point. And here's what we did. We started near London, specifically Southampton. We crossed the channel, like the bit of water between England and France, via ferry, right? Part one. We crossed from France into Belgium, from Belgium into Luxembourg, from Luxembourg into Germany, where we visited a factory. It was cool. From Germany into Czech Republic, from Czech Republic into Slovakia, from Slovakia into Hungary. This is Budapest, wonderful city. I highly recommend you all go there. From where am I? Hungary, thank you. From Hungary into Romania. From Romania, we tried to get into Ukraine. We failed to get into Ukraine. We go to Ukraine anyways. It's all long enough to I could sing a song about that experience. But from there, we went from Romania down to Bulgaria, from Bulgaria down into Turkey. I need a new map, sorry. From Turkey, we traveled the underside of the Black Sea. That took us about 3 days. Until we arrived at the border of Georgia. There's another fantastic story. We'll get to it later. From there, new map, sorry. From here, from Batumi to Tbilisi, which is the capital of Georgia, the country, not the state. From Tbilisi to Azerbaijan, from Azerbaijan to Baku, where we met a bunch of other people doing the same exact thing that we were doing. It was wild. From Baku down to a small city of Balad, where we were supposed to wait for a ferry. We waited for the ferry for a long time, 3 days. But finally, new map. Finally, we got on a ferry that took us to Kazakhstan. And that took about 24 hours. Just for scale, Kazakhstan's like the size of Europe. Cool. From Aktau to Benau, from Benau to Atreu, from Atreu to Uralsk, then up to Rudny via not Russia, and from Rudny to Astana. And in Astana, there was the World's Fair, like the World Expo, like where all the countries gathered together and show off the cool tech that they did, like, you know, the thing that, like, they built the Seattle Space Needle for, the thing they built the Eiffel Tower, the Ferris wheel, that's right, all of these things, that's for the World Fair. I went to one of those. It was cool. Specifically brought a bow tie for the entire trip just for that one occasion. And then from Astana, we went up to Kokshetau. We tried to get into Russia, failed to get into Russia, so we decided to go around. This is a thing that you'll see repeatedly. You face obstacles and you don't even. So, from Russia, we go into Omsk. From Omsk all the way to Novosibirsk. From Novosibirsk down to Barnaul and through the Altai Mountains. The Altai Mountains are beautiful, by the way. If you ever decide to run away from the US and hide in Russia, visit this place. It has beautiful mountains, places to hike. Anyways, down into Mongolia, new map. From Mongolia, as you can see by this map, Mongolia has no roads. This is a true statement. Google Maps will lie to you. It will say there are roads. There are no roads. So, we traveled all through, like, this is roads. And these are cars. Folk Altai Bayamangor and up to Ulaanbaatar. And from Ulaanbaatar to Ulan-Ude, where the finish line was, we are at the finish line. That's right, that's us at the finish line. They even gave us a trophy and whatnot. It was sentiment. So, obviously, I'm a cool dude. But what have I learned during this trip? And why is it that I'm doing all things? It's because I realized during that trip that the journey through college very similar to the journey around the world. Oh yeah, by the way, I traveled to England across the Atlantic and came back by the Pacific, so circumnavigated the world. My summer was literally 1 day longer. It felt a much longer, but hey. So what have I learned? This is the point where I'm going to transform this into a TED Talk. So buckle in. Number 1, be prepared. You don't have to be a Boy Scout to be prepared. When we were planning for this trip, me, my brother, and his coworker, we thought of everything, almost everything. The things that we didn't anticipate turned out to be our problems. The things that we did anticipate were not even a problem. Same thing if you are applying to college. If you know in advance what you need to do, and know in advance the sort of things that will come up, it's like, oh, I need to pay a fee to send them my SAT score, whatever. If you know that, you're much better than the person who doesn't know that. When you get into college, start applying for classes. First thing that should be popping into your head, what are the prerequisites for the actually cool classes that I want to take next semester? So, for instance, this is a car boot. It's a thing that clamps your tire so that you can't run away until you pay your parking ticket. We got this in Budapest. It was a beautiful city. We decided to park somewhere. We couldn't read Hungarian. So we parked somewhere. We explored the city. It was fantastic. We visited the baths, lovely place. And then we came back and there's a car boot. And an angry letter, or like note, on the front of our windshield. It said something, blah, 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 pay us this much. But it said it in Hungarian, so we didn't understand it. And we were like, well, this sucks. Let's use our phones to translate a little bit more so that we understand. And we translate a little bit more, and it's like, if you don't pay the fine, we will tow your vehicle within 48 hours. And we said, cool, free parking for 1 day. So, at the end of that 1 day, we explored the city. We kind of had to be resourceful. We weren't prepared for this. So we just kind of had to, jack our car up and take it off ourselves. The wheels were tiny. It was easy to jack up the car and take it off. We took that thing with us for the rest of the trip. It was fun. But yes, I came to this adventure a student. I came back an international criminal. So, another example of something that you need to be prepared for. Our car was tiny and our car was weak. So, we didn't want any rocks jumping up underneath our car into our engine and, destroying the entire thing. There's a special thing for off-road vehicles called a sump part. That's the sump, the bottom part of the car. So we travel a bit, and then the roads start to get iffy, and we stop by mechanics and we ask, hey, do you guys have sump guards for this make and model of the car? By the way, for any of you who are car people, it's a Chevy Matisse. That's like the 1 liter engine. And they're like, no, this is not a car that you're supposed to be driving in any place where you would need a sump guard. We're like, I know, but do you have it? They're like, no. Go find a sump guard and we'll install it for you. And of course, no place has sold sump guards, so we kind of had to make our own from the bonnet of a different car. So, this is us ripping off the bonnet, the hood of a different car to use as the protective under. It's like cutting 2 holes in a hat to make underwear. It was a very jank approach, but it got the job done. So yeah, whatever you do, be prepared, or else you will have to make some decisions in your life that you're not quite ready to make. Number 2, college will teach you tools, but it won't teach you the solutions. I had a friend come up to me. He's a computer science major, and he says, I'm thinking about changing my major. I'm like, why? You love programming and stuff. You like doing all these app things. He's like, yeah, but none of my classes teach the app stuff. We just go over theory, and we like go over like how to do sine waves on like modules, whatever. But we don't get to like make zombie apps. We don't get to play around with different controllers. And that's right. You're not going to get taught any of those things. You're not going to get taught the cool things in college. But what it will give you is a assortment of tools with which to tackle those problems. I find that it won't be the schools that give you a nudge to start the project. But once you do start trying to do it yourself, you will start to realize the very different things that your classes have taught you that, that help you achieve those goals. For instance, in our trip, we lost the CV joint. And if y'all are asking what is a CV joint, you or me. I was like, this ain't good. But I knew from my classes that cars had different, yes, it's a hammer, shut up. I knew from my classes that cars were built so that every single car could be interchangeable. So if we could take that part out, we could install a brand new one, even from a slightly different make and model of a vehicle, and it should still work. I wasn't taught how to do this in college. Nobody will teach you how to do this. Close your eyes and imagine the thing that you want to do. And now imagine being in a position to be able to do that thing. You can open your eyes again. That is the thing that you're not going to be taught in college. Shame. But you can go and do that yourself. You can now do that because of the tools that college will teach you. 3, similar to the last point, the opportunities that you will find along your way. They'll be whizzing past us. They require initiative from you! My friend, other friend, he was sad by the fact that there were no space clubs in Rutgers. He was like, I want to talk about space with people who like space, and I also like the rocket things, and I want to do like science up there. Technology is exciting. Space. But there's no classes on space. There's no clubs on space. And I go, well, there's like AAA, and we have like planes and drones and a little bit of rockets. He's like, nah, get that atmospheric weak shit out of here. I'm talking about real space, like the microgravity stuff, like the ISS, like going to Mars. I want to do that. But there's nothing in Rutgers that gives me that opportunity. But this isn't an opportunity that Rutgers will give you. You have to make your own opportunity. This friend, he decided to start his own space club with blackjack. He decided to make his own space club. And he got funding from Rutgers because they thought the idea was cool. His idea was cool. They gave him money because he thought space was cool. He didn't go join a club. He made a club. That club is now 100 strong at Rutgers. And we have launched weather balloons. We have launched rockets. We have intercepted signals from satellites. We might have even decoded some of those signals from satellites. It wasn't something that Rutgers gave him. It was something that he got himself. For instance, here we have found a wooden pallet in an abandoned warehouse. Ideas, what to do with it? Louder. Sleep on it. Good idea. What else?
Build a garden.
Go make it.
We are on a road trip.
Right.
Drawing back. Ready for war.
I like that idea. You can take this pallet and you can put it on top of a vehicle. And you can make a roof rack out of it. But that's work. So, do work. Provide your own incentives and make things possible. Because of this, we were able to put all our luggage on the top, and we're able to find a sleeping spot inside the car. So yeah, good ideas around. Here's something else. Imagine you're stuck in Azerbaijan waiting for a ferry for 3 days, and you could sit around, do nothing, or find loose bricks lying around and make the local youth interested in constructing a 2-story castle. Where did this idea come from? Nowhere. It has to be you who goes out and does the things that you want to do because you think it's cool. And yes, people will say that's a dumb idea. But you know what? If you go out and do something, you'll be the one laughing inside your 2-story castle. So, speaking of hard work, there are no shortcuts. Honest answer, who here has ever thought about cheating on a test? Thank you. I won't ask who actually did it, because I already know that this good group of students all have cheated on their tests. The point is, after you may or may not have cheated on the test, did you remember anything from that exam? Absolutely not. And then next time that thing appeared, you had to study for it again. That wasn't like solving your problem, it was just putting it off. And that created more work for you. An example of shortcuts. You would think it's a road trip, there are shortcuts. So let me give an example. In Georgia, there's the city of Batumi, there's the city of Tbilisi. Google Maps says there's a road that goes straight up and straight sideways. There's also a road that goes diagonally. Which one do you take? Because it's a shortcut. Little do you know that Google Maps knows this vertical and horizontal road to be interstate highways. Or, sure, it's not a state, it's just an intercountry highway. But the little winding road that goes diagonally is country roads. And Georgia has hills. We broke our antenna because of this. Like, the car had an antenna sticking in the front. We had all our stuff on the top. So next time we went over a hill, the luggage decided, I'm out of here, and flew. It landed on our windshield and started a crack that continued to grow as the trip went on. It wasn't fatal, but... Do I have a picture of it? Okay. So, like, imagine going up and down this at, like, 40 miles an hour. Not cool. You might also notice that it's green and pink. My car's green and pink for now. I'll get to that later. Here's another example. This is us, again, in Azerbaijan, waiting for that ferry to arrive. We could have decided to take the shortcut and just travel around the Caspian Sea. But we learned our lesson from Georgia. We're like, nah, we are going to stay here until the ferry comes, and it'll be faster than if we decide to go around. True to that statement, the people with us who decided not to wait for the ferry to go around ended up getting robbed. I know. That could have been us if we went with them. So, there are no shortcuts in life. When you go into college, there will be things that are genuinely hard, and there will be easy ways to not do that. But if you really want to excel as a person, don't take the shortcut. Right. Remember in AAA, this year, we kind of hurried through the prototype. What happened? Thank you, Mike. Case closed. No further questions. All right, so actions in the short term, planning doesn't want to follow through. Now, this is a very complex statement. I'm going to break it down. There's the short term. That's the stuff that you can do within 1 hour, within 1 day. This is the stuff that is directly in front of you, the stuff that you can do. There's the long term. These are your goals, your aspirations, your desire to get to a place. But it takes longer. It takes a week, it takes a month, maybe even a semester. Maybe your long-term goal is graduate, and that's a 4-year, 5-year, depending, goal. And you can't achieve your long-term goals in the short term. None of us live in the short term, in the long term. None of us live in the long term. We can't go into work every day and say, oh boy, here I go doing the 3-month thing that I'm supposed to do. No, you break it down. You break it down into small chunks. Every single long term consists of many tiny short terms. And it's your goal to break that down. It's your goal to actually do the short term. An example of a short term. Our car was overheating. We stopped by at a mechanic's to get the oil change. That's a short term. It didn't directly get us to where we need to go. It didn't help us drive to Mongolia. But it did help us plan to drive to Mongolia. An example of the more short term. The roof rack fell off and broke the antenna. Fix it. Here's something more of a long term. Consult with the truckers who are on your ferry so that they tell you the best routes to take when you're in Kazakhstan. Nobody told us to go do that. We weren't specifically told, hey, here's a side quest. Do this. We sat down with them and we explained our problem and we said, help us plan. Help us be prepared. Because when you prepare, you get less problems along the way. As they say, luck favors the prepared, and there's a lot of luck in the future. Okay, moving on to 6. I feel you're all bored. When you get to college, your dean will be the best resource for you. That includes getting into classes that you want. That includes breaking up with your boyfriend or girlfriend. That includes getting research or scholarship opportunities. That includes helping you get over a personal fear. Your dean is your best resource. Now, how does this tie into my trip? Well, you see, in Mongolia, we punctured our gas tank, and so we just ran out of gas. And so I called up my dean. He was Dean Antoine. And I said, hey, Dean, I know I'm a good student and everything, but I don't think I'm coming back to Rutgers. He said, why? You're an excellent student. We want you back. How can I help? And I said, well, you see, the problem is, I'm in Mongolia right now, and my gas tank has ruptured, and that means that I can't actually get to the nearest settlement to fix it, which means I probably won't be back ever. I'm going to die in this wasteland. And so, yeah, just mark off my name on this honors academy thing. He said, hold on, and hung up. And what? Absolutely 100% true story that I just made up. So, after going on that trip, how adventurous am I now? Wait, how did you get out of the situation? It involved duct tape and chewing gum. I'll explain later. There's a Q&A section after this. How adventurous am I now? Well, I'm a lot more risk-prone. I'm more likely to get into dangerous situations because I know that there's always a way to get out of it. I'm less afraid of taking on challenges because I've taken on challenges in the past and I haven't died yet. So I do things like, I don't know, climbing up the side of a waterfall to jump back down. I've done windsurfing. I've done finding hidden treasure, buried treasure. Michael, you know what this is. This is a huge concrete X that is just laying there in the middle of Arizona. Arizona?
Yeah.
You can drive out and you can see it. In fact, there's a whole field of these. No, there's not buried treasure. These are actually calibration points for satellites. The reason I'm interested in satellites is because my friend who started the Space Club said you should join. But yeah, I found a huge X in the ground. That's cool. Thank you. This isn't the end of my talk, but I will take questions now because you're teeming with excitement. I'll go from left to right.
What happened to the car?
After we got to Mongolia, it was in no fit state to drive, but we couldn't dump it in either Mongolia or in Russia because if you drive a car into the country but not out, it's considered import, even if it's in the scrapyard. And there's huge import taxes. So we actually put the car on a train, the Trans-Siberian Railroad, all the way back to Estonia, where it got dumped in a car dump. Yes?
How much money did you invest in the trip?
For the three of us combined, the trip, which took about 2 months, came out to around $10,000. I know, cheap. But this included us eating what we later suspected, but not confirmed, to be dog food. We bought it in a supermarket, and it had no markings to suggest that it was dog food, but it had no markings to suggest it was human. It was like Spam type of meat, and it had a picture of a chicken on the label. Like. Anyways. Yes?
Why did your brothers follow you?
The real question is, why did I go on this trip? Here's the thing. I haven't heard of the Mongol Rally before. The coworker was the first person to find out. And she told my brother. And my brother was like, you're on. I'm going to assemble a team that's better than your team. And she was like, you're on. I'm going to assemble a team that's going to get to the finish line before you even left. And then after going around for a year or two, they couldn't find anybody else to sign up. Because everyone's like super hyped, like, yeah, this sounds like an awesome trip. I'm going to go with you. And then as the date starts approaching closer and closer, like, oh, you're serious. You know, plans just popped up. I can't really dedicate 2 months of my life to that. So they decided to team up, but 2 people is not enough. And so my brother called me up. And I'm like, hey, what's up? Hey, bro, do you love me? Yeah. Bro, do you love me? Yes, I love you. I love you. Bro, would you follow me to the ends of the earth? Yes, I'll follow you to the ends of the earth. Okay, let's go. And I couldn't back away from that. Like, any more questions? Repetition 2 and go. How'd you do it? Okay, so the problem was that the bottom of our gas tank had a hole in it, and every time you poured gas in, it would just pour out. So the way we decided to solve this, well, my first instinct was, let's just put some duct tape on it, it's going to be fine, we're engineers, we know how this works, duct tape, if it's not working, more duct tape. But apparently not, gasoline is through duct tape. Oh, I know, right? We did have this silly putty type of thing that was supposed to be for the exhaust, and the way it works is you put it on, and then you heat it up, and it solidifies. It's like chewing gum. Consistency of chewing gum. Also, great thing to chew. Don't, but... And I'm like, oh, this is perfect. We could just use that. We're going to take this and we're going to put it on the underside of our gas tank tank, and then we're going to heat it up, let's say with a lighter, and my brother's like, no! Don't do that! So what we ended up doing was we took the chewing gum material, we put it on the underside, we didn't heat it up so it was still gooey and chewy. And then we put duct tape on top of that. And that lasted us till the end of the trip.
So how did the truck driver help?
Yes.
Okay, so like at times you're pretty much like in the middle of nowhere with like very little help around you. It's like yes, like by like luck or like engineering process you can find a solution. But what if you couldn't have found a solution? Do you guys ever have a plan B?
This was a very dangerous trip. Let me start off with that. About 300 teams signed up to do the Mongol rally. Only about half of them made it.
Oh.
Not that they died, they gave up. They had problems with customs and border controls, and they're like, you know, screw this, I'm out of here. I'd rather have a fun summer. We did end up getting stuck once. This was in Mongolia. We decided to, you know, instead of going around the river to the nearest bridge, we just, it's just like a tiny thing, it's like this wide. Let's just drive through it. Yes, the river's this wide, but like the mud bed is like that wide. So we tried to drive through it and we get stuck. And if not for circumstances, that would have been it. That would have been the trip. We would have died there. We had no way of getting our car out. There was no tree to hook up to pull our car out. There was nothing our motor could do. Like the more we spun our wheels, the deeper it sunk into the ground. We're like, this is not a good idea. Luckily for us, just so lucky, another driver passing by had the same idea of crossing the same riverbed. And he saw us, and he's like, hey, you look like you're stuck. And we're like, yeah, we're stuck. And he's like, ha! Let me pull you out. And so he pulled us out, and we're like, thank you, thank you, thank you. Now we can continue on this journey. We're not going to cross here. We're going to cross some other place. He left. We decided to go 100 meters down that way and cross again. We again got stuck. I guess we didn't learn our lesson. Luckily for us, there was a van of Mongolians going to build a bridge. And they had no interest in help. Like, that guy was at least part of the Mongol rally. He saw that we were doing the same thing as him. These Mongols, we didn't have a common language. We didn't have, enough currency to do anything. We didn't have any credibility there. Like, for all we know, for all they know, we were just like some hobos. We called them over, and we were prepared. We bought cigarettes. So we gave them a pack of cigarettes, and they told us out. And this time, we tried not to take the shortcut, and we actually went around the river, and we got to the end. Any more questions? Yes?
Why was the car dancing?
Okay. So, when we were waiting for the ferry in Azerbaijan, we were waiting with a bunch of other teams. And one of them was called the unofficial official Mongol Rally. And the reason they call themselves that is because they did not pay the $1,000 entry fee that would be used to pull you out of a situation in case something happened. So they were doing it without actually going through the Mongol Rally people, which means they were unlikely to get into Mongolia in the first place. And so we were like legit teams, and then there was this one boy who was like, yeah, our team doesn't need to do all that paperwork stuff. We got this. And so we decided, hey, let's pull a prank on him. Hey, you still got that tire bed? Yeah. We waited until 3 a.m., jacked their car up, put the tire on the same way we got it off our car, jacked the car back down and went to sleep. Oh, one more thing. Me and my older brother were fluent in Russian, so since this is Azerbaijan, which is a post-Soviet state, we took a piece of notebook paper and wrote an angry note in red marker in Russian on their windshield wiper. And we put it down, and then we went to sleep. Since it was 3 a.m., we slept in, but can you guess what happened? When we woke up, they were putting stickers on our car and spray painting it pink. Which is pretty cool. It ended up cuter than it was before. Which I feel like, it's a good trade-off. We get a prank, they get a prank. So yeah, that's why our car was painted pink. The green is because we decided to call our team the Bearded Turtles. And so we did like this scaly thing on the hood with green documents. Any other questions? Yes.
Ukraine and Russia.
What?
Ukraine and Russia, the border. You said you'd get back to that.
Yes, the border of Ukraine and the border of Russia. For the Ukrainian border, actually let's start with the Russian border. It's a much simpler story. The border that we tried to cross wasn't an international border. Like only people from Kazakhstan or Russia could that border. So we had to drive around 1,000 miles to get to the actual border that we can use where they understood our passports. The Ukrainian border. We tried to get into Ukraine, and they're like, your passport's checked out. And they're like, so we can go? And they're like, no. You don't have the documents for the car. And we said, we do have the documents. They're right here. They're like, no. These are men documents. These are fleet documents. We need the elite documents. We need the actual documents that show that you are the registered owner of this vehicle. We're like, but those ones are still in London. Like, we just bought this car a week ago, and those things take 2 weeks to process. They're like, don't care. You can go through, the car can't. So we decided to go back via Cluj-Napoca down into Bucharest, which is the city, capital of Romania. We left our car with a stranger that we knew, and more like an acquaintance that we haven't seen in a long time. Wherever. So we left it with him, and we went to Ukraine. I have relatives there, so like we could wait out the period there. And we spent like a good 2 weeks there, waiting for the snail mail to get to Ukraine with the official documents. That's why we couldn't get to Ukraine. A couple more. Yes.
So when you're driving, like, how do you account for like how much fuel you'll have? Like, how do you know where you're going to find the nearest gas?
You pray, and you also have jerry cans, like which are like fuel canisters, so that in case you don't, you can just refuel and keep going. It's like an extra life situation. Yes?
So now that you're more adventurous, which chess opening do you play?
What?
Now that you're more adventurous, which chess opening do you play?
Parfilko.
That's a good one. Did you buy the cake during the model rally?
I had it with me the entire time. Okay, one more.
Did you do it all over again?
Maybe. It's fun to talk about after the fact. It's always great to be the knight in shining armor telling you about the story of how you slayed the dragon. The problem is, during the entire trip, I was crying, like non-stop, from like, well, not non-stop, like from Eastern Europe onwards, because that's where all the problems happen. Every other day I'd be like, this is it. We're going to be stuck here, we're going to die, and they're not even going to mention our names in the local paper because they don't know who we are. And And then we get over that, and then we'd have another couple of days of riding forward into the east. And then we'd get stuck, and I'd be like, this is it. This is how we die. And so on and so forth. And so it was a very depressing experience. But it's so fun to talk about. So like, maybe? All right, let me go through. Probably some of y'all have questions that you don't remember. So I'm going to go through my trip and mention key points. So, first day, we slept under a bridge in Luxembourg. By the way, if anybody has like a keen interest in the thing that I'm saying, just shout out, "Whoa, stop right there! Tell me about that." So we slept under a bridge in Luxembourg. In Romania, we slept in a cornfield. No, sorry, I misspoke. It was sunflowers. Okay, so this was right after we got rejected from Ukraine. It was super late at night, and we needed a place to stop. So bottom left of the screen, we're sitting in a cornfield there with our tent. And during the night, we had this crazy, like one of those thoughts that just sits down and lingers in your head and doesn't want to go away. And the thought was, what if the farmer wakes up tomorrow morning and starts up the combine?
Do they harvest sunflowers?
Yes. That guy at the top right is a professor of chemical engineering that we met in chemistry that told us $1 million idea of how to make coffee cheaper. Bottom right, you already know the story. Going down, huge ass bread in Turkey. The crossing of Georgia where we were almost considered to be terrorists. Okay, imagine you are a border patrol person, like you're playing Papers, Please. You're a border patrol person in Georgia. And at 2 a.m. in the morning, these bozos drive up. And you do the normal spiel, "Papers, please." And they give you their documents, and you take a look. And you take a look again, because you're in the country of Georgia, coming from Turkey. But the car is English. Like, steering wheel on the right-hand side and everything. So the car's registered there, but it's, oh, whatever. Okay, so we take a look at the documents. The documents are American passports. What the hell are Americans doing in an English car? Driving through Turkey up into Georgia. That's weird. Well, let me just double check. He looks up at us and in Russian asks, "Are these documents legit?" And we respond in fluent Russian, "Yes, of course." So these fluent Russian speakers are trying to get into our country with mixed papers, just from all over the place. I mean, obviously the Russian spots. Like, to prevent them from being suspected, they're trying to enter from the other side, sneaky, but their documents don't match up. "We got them, boys!" So they're like, "Hold on a second, we shall take them into the back room." They take our documents into the back room where they have a special machine which determines whether these documents are fake or whether they're real. We're sitting there, not knowing what's going to happen. It's 2 a.m. and we were planning on going to Batumi, having a nice sleep, but it's starting to be 2:30, and now it's almost 3 o'clock at night, or in the morning, however you want to think about it. They come back with their documents, and they're like, "Guys, we have a problem. These documents, they're real. Explain yourselves!" And so we had a fun conversation about that and why we were going through the country, and they finally got us through when they were convinced that we would be exiting out the other side. That's why we were almost stopped. Let's keep going. In Georgia, Problems with roads, we already discussed that. Car getting painted, we already discussed that. Waiting at the border, we already discussed that. No, you guys are giving good questions before I even show the picture. Yes.
What's the most dangerous situation?
The most dangerous situation that we encounter. I would have to say getting stuck in the river was pretty dangerous. Yes.
Did you have to use the $1,000 and we'll pull you out of the situation thing?
The $1,000 wasn't specifically meant for us, it was meant for the car, because you can't just ditch a car in the middle of nowhere. So like if the car was found later on, you needed funds to actually move that car out of the country if they didn't allow the car to be there, or to legally like call it an import and like register it. The funds were there specifically so that the company wouldn't get into legal trouble if we ended up dead. So we got that $1,000 refunded at the end, and we spent all of it to put it on the Trans-Siberian Railroad. Okay, so car got painted, met some cool people. The guys with the boats, they're an Australian couple who decided to do this trip. They called their team the Aqueducts. I don't know why. Yes?
Like, just in case, did you carry weapons with you?
No.
Okay.
We had a Swiss Army knife with a tiny, like, 2-inch blade. We were pretty dangerous. Wait for that fish sack, though. Anyways, no laughing at the. It was a chest joke. But anyways, moving on. In Kazakhstan, got to race against horses. Got to visit what Google called a, yes.
Who took that picture?
That picture was taken by a guy that we kind of took along with our ride. We took a lot of hitchhikers because, you know, why not? We took a bunch of hitchhikers with us. The more the merrier.
How many?
2 more. Like, there was the 3 of us, and there was 5 seats, so we could fit 2 more. The 2 more that we fit, we once took 2 hitchhikers, and that was in Russia. We took a couple that was trying to get from Omsk to Novosibirsk, and they were just out there with their thumb and like, hey, come in. And it was worth it. I'll show you later. But yeah, so World's Fair, the theme was Future of Energy. I've been there, it's cool. That's where I got my LinkedIn photo, by the way. Great place to take a photo. Anyways, the bottom picture is what Google Maps called a hotel, near what Google Maps called a road. On the side of what Google Maps called a lake. So don't trust Google Maps on everything. This is us getting our CV joint fixed at the border of Russia and Kazakhstan, because that's where it decided to break. Top left is the couple that we decided to pick up. They had a guitar, they were cool. On the right is them inviting us into their home, where we can finally take a shower, you know, good stuff. And we were trying this white honey that's called I have no clue how to translate it. It's like the super rare thing. But it's made by the bees up in the Alpine Mountains, and like it's super worthy. Anyways, so yeah, hitchhikers are the side quests of life. Do it. Then into Mongolia. You already know the story of how I broke the, well, it wasn't me, but you know, how we broke the gas tank. On the top right is the 2 hitchhikers that we picked up from Mongolia. Hitchhikers are super useful, by the way, if you're traveling in a different country, because they are incentivized to make sure that the vehicle gets to where it wants to be. They want to get to the same place as you. So if you break down, they are your tongue to communicate with the locals. And bottom left is my brother collecting apples, which we later used to bribe the children of the security guards at the border who stole our tires. Okay, stop right there. When we traveled from Russia into Mongolia, we were still using the same tires that we departed England with. And we're like, this is the perfect time to change our tires we could honestly say that we traveled from England to Mongolia on one set of tires. Now we just need to change them so that they don't explode. So we take off one of the old tires. We put it to the side. We take the new tire that we have on our roof rack, the roof rack that we built in Bulgaria. We take it up and we try to put it on the old part. And we realize that we bought the wrong tires. They're the wrong size. We can't put them on this car. Like, we have a tire, we have a car, it does not fit. Like, wrong tire. Like, I don't know what to say. We're like, this sucks. We have to buy new tires. The tires that we bought are bad. We're like, okay, that's fine. So we take our tire, we put it on the roof rack, we turn around, the old tire is gone. And we ask around, we're like, did anybody see a tire? And they're like, we all got no clue what y'all talking about. By the way, this is them talking Mongolian, and we're talking in a mixture of English, Russian, French, and sign language, trying to explain to them that our tire is gone. And they're like, we ain't got no clue what you want. We're just some poor people. We must be GTFO. We're like, we can't GTFO. Our tire is gone. We can't, three-wheel out of here. And then we got the smart idea that the adults can lie. The children can be bright. We picked some apples in Kazakhstan that we used to bribe the children by saying, here's some apples. Go find the roundy. And, the brown one. And they're like, hee, and they run away. They're like, well, there go our apples. How are we going to do this? And my brother came up with this ingenious idea. He's like, what if we drive slowly, but one of us kind of carries it behind us? and we're trying to figure out the logistics of that, while all of a sudden the kids come running back, rolling a tire. We're like, there it is! That's the one! Yes! So we put it on and we book it out of here. Funny story right after that. As soon as we enter Mongolia, the roads end. So we get into wibbly-wobbly territory. So as we're driving along, I say, so should we make an accounting company and book it? And my brother's like, no, we should make a flooring company and floor it. And his coworker is like, oh, we should make a pogo stick. And all of a sudden, the road ends, and we're going, boing, boing, boing. Mongolia on the roof. I know, it was pretty bad. Okay, so sometime, let's do some songs. I have 2 songs, but it looks like we only have time for one. Got a bit of time. Wonderful. Beautiful. Let me just do that. Oh, this is completely out. Pause for a second. Can you stall for me?
Yes, stolen.
Okay. Help me out with this. I need a person to change the word every I have one set. So let's do the Cluj-Napoca Hokey Pokey. There's some things that we need to know before we start the song. Cluj-Napoca Hokey Pokey. Cluj-Napoca is in Romania. It is the place we passed on the way to Ukraine. It's the thing we passed on the way back from Ukraine. It's a place of both happiness and sorrow for us. This was after we got the tire plant. Oh, one more thing. The reason we couldn't get into Ukraine was we left our document for the car in England. It was called the B5 document. I guess B for vehicle, 5 because it's home. And You would think that we would have it with us, but no. Apparently, all across Europe, free borders. You can go anywhere you want. As soon as we hit Ukraine, Trump, nope. You need yes.
Do you guys try bribing them?
We weren't that rich, but no, we didn't. We were already testing our luck as it was. But to get into mainland Europe, we had to put special decals, special stickers on our car. The reason is when you're driving on the right side of the road, there you go, your headlights actually shine a little bit to the left so that your headlights don't shine directly into the eyes of people going across from you. But then you switch into normal driving mode and you're on the right side of the road, and most people have the steering wheel on the left. And those cars do see our headlights because we're shining directly at them. So to prevent that, we need to stop at the border of England, and we need to buy these special decals. They're called anti-dazzle decals for our headlamps, you know, so that we don't dazzle the people on the other side of the on the road. There's a reference to that. Nothing there. Yeah, you hear that? I really like this song. The Hokey Pokey, because it really has things before. Okay. First verse. And you can change it as we go on. You take the passport stamps, you take the tire plans, the anti-dazzle headlamps, which you bought for 50 pounds. You go to Cluj-Napoca and you turn yourself around, because that's what long around is all about. Change it. We beat the border in cars, but they say, au revoir, the B5 for your car still is stuck in London town. They say, go back to Cluj-Napoca, yeah, just turn yourself around, because that's what long around is all about. Change Romanian potholes and got no cash for tolls with every car and soul. We turn back to Tom Brown, we head to Cluj-Napoca, have a good look all around, because that's what long around is all about. No breaks, no stops, no rest. We head to Bucharest, we're headed west, even though we're out of town. We need to the Popo, we town for miles around. All together now. 2, 3, 4. That's all around. Do the Popo. During the trip, in our phased, kind of crazed lunacy idea of what should be. So, this is a parody of a very famous song. You probably know it. Let's see if I remember the chords to it. Yes, I remember. Here's a bit of good advice. If you want to get somewhere nice, just keep going. A Mongol rally. Eastern Europe potholes flow, but get new tires and you're ready to go and keep going. A Mongol rally. So keep going. that the Mongols are very, very, very kind. Just keep going. Mongol Rally. Your doors won't close, your mirror shakes, and you don't like the sound of the engine as it goes. It's probably gonna be fine. Check engine light is on, but you know, it's probably gonna be fine. All right, going on. And if you find the finish line, I bid you have a splendid time. In everything that you do, keep going. Mongol Rally. What?
Okay, 1, 2, 3, Canadian clap. Canadian clap on 3. 1, 2, 3.
I don't know what happened. Why is it Canadian? Canadian clap was polite, it doesn't drag on forever.
Wait, I thought it was Canadian clap on 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh, okay.
I'm serious about those lessons. Like, you will have times when you feel like you have encountered a problem that you will not be able to overcome. For instance, trying to fix a CV joint on the border of Kazakhstan and Russia. I think I didn't explain the nasty situation. This is the part that we tried to fix. I brought it with me as a reminder to myself that anything is possible. And every time I feel down, I beat myself with it. So, let me explain the fineness of the situation. Remember when I said that we couldn't cross that first border that we came to? Well, it turns out that when we tried to turn around, our car broke. So we were stuck on that border, not being able to go forward, not being able to go back. The part that we needed to fix the car was manufactured in Omsk,
Where is that?
Russia. So we had to get into Russia, but we couldn't go by a car. And we weren't allowed to go with someone else because they wouldn't let us through that specific crossing. So my brother, he came up with a brilliant idea. He hailed a taxi. And he told the taxi person, here is $100 US. Cross this border, enter Russia, go to Omsk, trade this $100 into rubles, go to the mechanic, buy this specific part that we're going to write down for you. Use the rubles that you have acquired to buy that part. Now here's the important bit. Take that part and the remaining money and come back with it to us. To which the driver said, okay, and he left. And around that time I woke up and I'm like, hey, how are we going to fix this car? And my brother's like, nah. I figured it all out. I have a plan. All we need to do is sit around and wait for it to come true. And I asked, how long are we going to wait? He says, as long as it takes. So we waited an entire day. And the driver came back. With the part. And with slightly less than all the rubles that we expected to have. But he came back. Because I figured this out later. He lives in Kazakhstan. And there is literally one road in the entire like 1,000-mile area that goes back to Kazakhstan from Omsk. We knew that he was going to come back because he knew that to spend the money that he just earned, he would need to go back home. So he came back, and we're like, you're the guy. I'm the guy. Here's the car. And then it got done because we had no clue how to install it in our car, but that's a different story. But yes, it turns out sometimes you can trust people.
Sometimes.
Any other interesting questions about myself or yes? This is actually $1 million idea, and if I tell you, you can become a millionaire. So what's it close? We went to this chemical engineer professor in New York, who was a friend of them. He was the father of a friend and family. And he revealed to us the secret. And we asked, why are you making money off of this? He's like, we're in the train factory. And we're like, okay, we will take this secret back to us, to the US, and we shall make millions off of it. And so I said, let's go to the US. I got a paper out of it. And now it's my, what's it called? IP. It is my intellectual property, because I wrote a paper about it. And the idea is this. The tiny grains of coffee, after you grind it up, still have caverns of, like, unexplored flavor. They're not grains of sand, they're not brown. They have, like, dimples and holes in them, like a Minecraft cavern. Except tiny, tiny. If you zoom in on a roasted and grounded coffee bean, you will see something that looks like a pumice rock, if you've ever seen any of those. They're full of holes. Now here's the problem. On that tiny scale, water tension plays a huge, massive role. So the hot water is like coming up to these holes and it's like, oh boy, I sure can't get through them. And so it stops right here. And all this flavor, all the surface area of the coffee bean is unexplored. Now the only thing that's small enough to get through here is a gas. But you can't displace a liquid, so that you can't displace a gas with a liquid. So the genius idea was, why not displace this gas inside with a gas of our own? Take, for instance, water vapor. Water vapor is not a liquid, it goes, I'm free! And it goes through. And it displaces the air inside, and the coffee beans are completely filled with water vapor. And then you chill it. You douse it with cold water. And the water vapor, which is huge, is like, oh no, I'm melting! But it's not actually melting, it's just condensing. So it shrinks up into water. And the parts that are left without water, there's vacuum there. There's pure vacuum. You just created vacuum inside the bean, which means that the water is pulled into the bean. And now you have the entire surface of coffee soaked in water. And now you might be asking, wait a minute, doesn't this happen with normal water like water? If you just pour a bunch of water and doesn't it all get in? It's like, no. Like, if you take a sponge and you put it under water, there's still air in that sponge. You can squeeze it, you can see the air coming out. What we basically did was we filled the entire thing with water, the entire coffee grind. And then if you expel that with, let's say, more superheated steam, why not? You can extract coffee that is 50%, no, not 50, it's 100. More potent. The coffee that you usually make is 50%. Which means that for every cup of coffee that you make, you need half the amount of supply. Which means that the marginal cost of making a coffee, of one extra coffee, basically gets halved. Which means your profit margins go like, poof, I'm big, I'm small. Let's you become a millionaire. Because imagine if Starbucks is not an example. Imagine if a cup of Joe from like Dunkin' Donuts, you can make that cup for half the price. You would be like the biggest industry player ever. Because coffee is $1 billion industry. It's huge. Yes, anyone else?
So why are you?
I wrote a paper about it, and I'm like, oh, this is hard.
There are no shortcuts.
There are no shortcuts. So to do it correct, I would need to invest a lot of time into it. And I've got other plans. So I decided, let's hold on. That's it? Awesome. Okay. Do you have any questions?